We just need something to put under this. Can you make one of the legs longer, Joey? Okay, we're live. One more, a little longer. A little longer. No, that one. Okay, everybody. So we're starting now, B'ezrat Hashem, Masechet Megillah. Masechet Megillah is the Masechet for Purim. And so this is, we just finished Hanukkah. It's going to fall. We just finished Hanukkah for the past month or so, and now it's moving on. Let's bring that. And so what I want to do is, we have a couple of months until Purim. So I don't want to jump right now. If you guys disagree, tell me. I don't want to jump right now into actual Purim stuff, because Masechet Megillah is packed with stuff. So we're going to start now in the third perek. It's going to be talking about the process of reading the Torah in the Beit Knesset, Aliyot, Mosifim, and all this stuff. As we get closer to Purim, we can go into the actual Purim story as well. Or if you want, give me feedback. If you want, we can do like half halakha and then half agadah with the story. There's at least 4 or 5 pages, both sides, with all about the story of Purim. I'm sure things you never heard before about Purim. Okay, so keep it in your mind. I never had a chance last week to thank Liron for the sponsorship. So Hazak, we look for your father, Moshe, have Shalema. And for this week, we have Roy Akirov with the sponsorship, Leilun Nishmat, your father. Your Shalema for your mom. What's her name? Jolene Pasuzan. Shalema, thank you very much. And only barakot to both of you. Okay, so let's get started here. So we're on page Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph. You can see the beginning of the perek. And so let's see, my books are a mess here, but it's okay. Okay, so it's perek shlishi. It's going to start and say, Hakoreh et Megillah, someone who reads the Megillah, Omed ve'yoshev. He can stand while he reads it, or he can sit while he reads it. You don't have to stand or sit when you read Megillat Esther. You could do either one. So she says, Omed imnasa yoshev. Up to you. That's one halakha. Kara'a echad karu hashenayim. If one guy read the Megillah for the Sibur, or 2 people, they wanted to make a duet. They read the Megillat Esther together. Yatzeu. It's good. It's a kosher. Makom shenagu levarech yivarech. If it's the custom of the town to make a blessing on the Megillat Esther. If it's the custom not to make a beracha, you don't have to make a beracha for the Megillah. Next halakha. Now the Mishnah says halachot, and then we break them down in a minute in the Gemara. Next halakha. Once we're talking about reading and standing and berachot, we're going to talk about Sefer Torah also. On Monday, Thursday, and Shabbat afternoon, 3 aliyot, as we all know, 3 aliyot. En pohatin mehen ve'en mosifin. You cannot do less than 3 aliyot, and you cannot do 4 aliyot. Only 3. Why? Let's see Rashi. There's a Rashi here, ve'en mosifin alehem. I don't know if you can see it. Rashi says, shelo yikasher letzibur. It shouldn't be difficult for the congregation. Because Monday and Thursday are work days. People have to go to work. When Shabbat Mincha, it's late. You know, when keep people in shul late, it's not nice. The whole day they're busy learning, studying the whole day on Shabbat and hearing speeches. Let the people go home. And so it's called Torah Sivud. Torah Sivud is a real thing. It's not just what some complainers, they say, Torah Sivud. Torah Sivud is a real halakha. Torah Sibur, you're not allowed to add an extra aliyah on a Monday. Maybe someone has to go to work. So therefore it's asur. Okay? Ve'en maftirim b'navi, and we also don't do haftarah with navi on Monday, Thursday, or Shabbat Mincha. Why? Same reason. Look at Rashi. Ve'en maftirim, mishum hayta'ama gufef. Same reason. Torah Sibur. Cut it out. Don't go on and on for an hour and a half on a Monday reading Torah, haftarah. No. So far it doesn't use the term. It's still in the Mishnah. So, but it is a real term that's used. Okay. Next, the Mishnah is going to go into the process of how you read Torah. And a lot of this we know already, but now you'll know how it all came about, the reason behind it. Hapoteach ve'achotem b'Torah. The person who gets the first aliyah, who opens the Torah, it means he gets the first aliyah, and the hotem is the finisher of the Torah. So let's see what we would call Aliyat Kohen and Aliyat Israel. Mebarech lefanea or le'ahareha. They bless before the Torah and after the Torah. What does this mean? What does this mean?
It's only the first guy and the last guy.
Only the first guy and the last guy.
Right.
Yeah?
Not
the middle guy, according to the Mishnah, which we'll get into in a second. The Mishnah is saying the person who opens the Torah, he makes a beracha rishona. He's the first aliyah, he makes beracha rishona, no beracha acharona. When he's finished, Levi comes, no beracha at all, 0. And then Israel comes, no beracha rishona, he makes a beracha acharona when he's finished. This is called hapoteach ve'achotem. This used to be the way they read Torah in the shul. No, so the Gemara is going to say we have a gezerah that we don't do this anymore, and we'll see why. If you want to take a guess, let me hear your guess. Why don't we do this anymore?
Everyone can still read their own portion.
Not really, but could be. Because the Gemara does mention what you're saying, but it's not. Does anybody want to take a guess why we don't do this anymore? You'll see in a minute.
You get the charge.
You do get the charge book. Aliyah Levi would be easy. If the Hazan's reading, what are you doing? Right? Okay, let's keep going. Now we're going to go into the number of aliyot. B'Rashei Chodashim or b'Cholosh Moed, on Rosh Chodesh and Chol Moed, Sukkot or Pesach, Horin Arba'ah, you have 4 aliyot. And Pohatin Mehen, you cannot have 3. Ve'en Mosifin Alehen, you can't have more than 4. Why? It's holiday. Why? Because on the holiday Chol Moed is a Torah Sibur. Am I allowed to hold you captive, hostage, and shul on Chol Moed? It's holiday. Rashi says, last Rashi in the Mishnah, he says, even on Chol Moed, you cannot make Mosifin. We call it in Halabi Rakez, we call it. Mosifin, no Mosifin on Chol Moed. Why? But Rashi says, Nami Ika Bitu Melacha. It's not nice. People might have to go to work. The Melacha Debar Ha'aved Muteret. If someone really has to go to work or will lose a lot of money, he's allowed to on Rosh Chodesh and Chol Moed. Rosh Chodesh for sure, Chol Moed. And so therefore, even for the guy, even though most of the shul is not, they're staying home, maybe there's one guy that has to go to work to save his business, and therefore no mosifin, asur, on Chol Moed. And the same reason, ve'em maftin benavi. You're not allowed to make navi, same reason, because it's Torah Sivud.
So we go from the minority, not the majority.
Exactly. Exactly. You see this? What a lesson. We go by the minority, and I'm going to show you more of this in a minute. We are always, in Judaism, we're sensitive to the 1 or 2 guys who may have something. Okay? Zeh ha'kelal. Oh, wait, did I skip something? Hapoteach ve'achotem b'Torah yorech lefnei ha'olach same halacha. The first guy and the last guy, they make the beracha. Okay? Zeh ha'kelal. Here's the rule to remember how many aliyot you get. Kol sheyesh bo musaf ve'eno yom tov. If you say musaf, but it's not a holiday, which means you're allowed to drive the car, Horin Arba'ah. You're at 4 aliyot. Yom Tov, if it's Yom Tov where you can't drive a car, let's say, Hamisha, 5. Yom Kippurim Shisha, Yom Kippur is 6. Shabbat Shiv'ah, and Shabbat is 7. Sometimes this happens actually. People ask me, how many aliyot we have today? Is there Musaf today? That's always, is there Musaf today? That's very important. If there's Musaf and it's not Yom Tov, you say 4. Okay? So Musaf is linked to an extra aliyah, if you think about it this way. Good? On Hanukkah, is there Musaf? No. Realiyot. It's actually a very easy trick to remember. If there's no Musaf,
What, so like Pesach?
Pesach, is there Musaf on Moed? Yes.
Sukkot?
Sukkot is Musaf on Moed. So it's linked together, so you'll never forget this. You know, is there Musaf today? Yes, 4 aliyot. At least. If it's Yom Tov, 5 aliyot. Hanukkah, no Musaf. Purim, no Musaf in Purim, 3 aliyot. It's linked to Musaf. Make sense? Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting. This is the Mishnah. Like we said again, 3 times we say. So somebody ask the question, what do you have to say this 3 times? The first guy makes the blessing before. So again, Aliyah, according to the Mishnah, Aliyah Kohen, the guy says the Beracha Rishona and not the Beracha Aharona. Aliyah Levi, no Beracha whatsoever. And Yat Israel, Beracha Aharona only. Okay, now. Let us see the Gemara. Let's read a couple of lines of the Gemara. Tana, we learned. Ma she'en ken b'Torah, which is not the case by Torah. What's not the case by Torah? So Rashi helps us. She'en korim b'Torah b'tzibur miyushav. You're not allowed to read Sefer Torah sitting down. So he's going on the first part of the Mishnah, that you can read Megillat Esther sitting down if you want to. If someone read Megillat Esther, if I go on Purim to read Megillah for the shul and I sit down, are we yotzeh or not yotzeh?
Yeah.
We're yotzeh. Maybe even the Chatahila if you read the Mishnah. Like, if b'diavad or the Chatahila, meaning if I already did it, or even if I say, I want to go ahead and do it. Read the Mishnah. A lot of people say, just read the Mishnah. It seems even the Chatahila, go ahead and sit. We'll get to the practical halakha in a second. Sefer Torah, if I want to sit down on the chair while I read Sefer Torah on Shabbat, no. You're not allowed to sit down for Sefer Torah. Mashi'ekin b'Torah. How do I know this halakha? Why is it different? Minahani mili. How do you know these things? How do you know this? Amar Rabbi Abahu, the Amar Kira, it's a pasuk. Ve'ata po amod imadi. Hashem says to Moshe, when you go to come up to the mountain and learn Torah from me, stand up with me. Oh, so when you learn Torah, you have to stand up.
So based on that quote, why don't we see if we learn from standing up?
Good question. Excellent. We're going to do that in a second.
What's the question?
Stand up right now. You should stand up right now.
That you should learn Torah while standing up. Why don't we all learn Torah while standing up?
Excellent question. Right now, we should be standing
We're
up.
not learning Torah, we're reading Torah.
We're learning Torah right now.
But it's in the
No,
learn.
I understand his question, but over here it says that
Even more, Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't reading Torah like in shul. He was learning in Shamayim.
we're only reading.
Right. And even for the reading, you have to stand up. For sure, if you copy what Moshe did, learning, you should stand up. This is the question. We should all be standing up right now. Good question. Excellent.
And make you stand up. People would be like,
That's a 2022 answer. That's not what the Gemara says. We're a bunch of wimps right now, but let's see what the Gemara says. Good question. Again, how do you know? How do you know these things? Amar Rabbi Abahu, the Amar Kira ve'ata po amod imadi. The Amar Rabbi Abahu says, Ilmale mikra katuv, if not for this being a pasuk. Ilmale, what does ilmale mean? If not, ilmale, why am I asking? This is important. Again, everybody pay attention to this word, because I'm giving you a new halakha based on this word in a second. Ilmale means if not for the case, if not. Ilmale mekra katuv, if not for the pasuk saying this, ifshar leomro, I would never say it myself, kaviyachol, as if to say, af hakadosh baruch hu ba'amida, that even Hashem was standing, because he told Moshe, amod imadi, stand with me. That means Hashem was also standing, not only Moshe. Let's say beracha on this yet. Okay, now, interesting. I'm going to take a side veer for a section and give you a very interesting halakha that Tosafot tells us based on this word ilmaleh. Ilmaleh, if not for the fact that it was a pasuk, I would never say Hashem stood up, whatever this means, kaviyachol. It doesn't mean literally. Hashem doesn't stand, have legs, but figuratively. So Tosafot says, what's the difference? I'm going to tell you outside. What's the difference between ilmaleh and ilmaleh lo? Sometimes you see it says ilmaleh lo, and sometimes it just says the word ilmaleh. Can anyone give me an example? Come on. We say this word every month. We say it every month. One of the two. We say it every month. Ikata levana. Ever see do it? Yeah, close. Close. The sideways, close. It sounds good, but it's not exact. This is actually it's not good. Okay. Let's get Bikad Lebanah out. Anybody know by heart? What is going on with this? I have to put the formula. People watching online are like, what is happening? Okay. Okay, let's get to Birkat Levanah. Birkat Levanah is the very end of Birkat Levanah. What do we say? Abaye, yeah? That's how it finishes. After Abik, it says, Ilmale zachu b'nei Yisrael akbil p'nei bihem sheva shamayim pa'am b'chodesh tayam amar Abaye hilkach nimnihu me'omer. This sounds familiar, guys?
Yeah.
I'm going to read it for you. Tana de B'Yishmael. This is the last part of Birkat Levanah, the blessing on the moon. Ilmale lo zachu, it says in the Siddur. Ilmale lo zachu b'nei Yisrael. Ela le'akpil pnei b'hem shebashamayim pa'am achat b'chodesh dayam. Which means, if it wasn't for the fact, if it only was the fact that we greeted Hashem's face one time a month, that would be good enough for us. The Kata Levana is like, the Gemara says, it's like greeting the Pnei HaShekhinah. And so what are we saying? It's okay that it only comes around one time a month. We're happy in the one time a month. So, ilmale, if it wasn't only that we had greeted Hashem's face once, it would be enough. Amar Abayad says, therefore, hilkach, nimninu me'omed. This is Aramaic. Therefore, we should say B'kat al-Bana standing up, because we're greeting the Pnei HaShekhinah. So Safot says over here, what does the word ilmale mean? And so look at the bottom Tosafot. V'omer Rabbeinu Tam, the bottom Tosafot, 3 lines from the bottom. V'omer Rabbeinu Tam says, Dehecha sheyesh aleph besof ilmale. If the word ilmale finishes with the aleph, rotzah lomar ilu lo, if it wasn't. Dehecha dechtiv ilmale beyod. If ilmale finishes with the yod, rotzah lomar ilu haya, if it was. Why? Ilmale, like make believe, if it finishes with the aleph, then the last 2 letters are lo, lam and aleph, lo. So like ilu lo, ilmale ilu lo. But if it's ilmale with the yod, it means ilu haya, if it was. Got this so far? So in our, what are we saying in B'kat al-Bana? If it was the case, if it was the case that we greeted Hashem's face once a month, that would be happy for us. We would be happy. Does ilmale and B'kat al-Bana finish with a yod or aleph? Yod. Ilmale. So therefore what? Ilmale means ilu haya. Ilmale, if it was lo, not that we greeted Hashem once a month, that doesn't make sense. It should say ilmale zachu, if we would greet. So should we say this word lo? Does it make grammatical sense? Maybe we should take the word lo out of this. Ilmale zachu b'nei Yisrael. Got the question? Yalkut Yosef. Shabbat, I have so many books here. Shabbat 4. Yalkut Yosef says, Nahagu lomad pasuk, David Melech Yisrael harvi kayam gimel pa'amim, which we say, David Melech Yisrael 3 times over B'kat al-Bana, Shemachuto nimshela le'lebana, because David HaMelech's kingship is like compared to a moon. The atidal machuto l'thadesh, because it keeps coming back. The moon, so too David HaMelech will keep coming back. Kemo ha'ithadeshut le'bana. U'chneset Yisrael tahazor l'tabek b'ba'ala shur kadosh baruch hu. So we'll keep going back to Hashem. That's why the moon is like David Melech Yisrael. So why do we say David Melech Yisrael 3 times? Because David HaMelech 3 times. This is me speaking, 3 Batei HaMikdash, right? Batei HaMikdash Rishon, Sheni, Shlishi, maybe. So some insight on the blessing of the moon that we never knew until now. Okay. V'lachen, semechim be'et amilat B'kat al-Bana. We're very happy when we say B'kat al-Bana. Dugmat simchat nisuin, like we're getting married. V'omnim lebesof, and we say at the end of the prayer, Tana debir v'Yishmael, ilmale zachu, not ilmale lo zachu. Says a Chamitzhak, ilmale with the aleph and zachu. Why? Because if you say ilmale lo zachu, and it's an aleph and a lo, you're saying a double negative. Ilmale means ilu lo, and then you have lo. Ilmale lo zachu. If not greeted. Doesn't make sense. So either you got to switch the ilmale to a yud, or you got to scratch out the lo. So if I'm overcomplicating, the bottom line halakha is as follows. This is what we say according to Chamitzhak Yosef. Tana deber v'Yishmael ilmale zachu b'nei Yisrael. Take out the law. It should be removed according to a Chamitzhak. Make sense?
Yes,
It's here, but notice they changed to a yud at the end. So how do you read this now? Ilmale, if it was lo, not, still makes sense. You either have to make it a yud, and then you can get that negative after. But if you keep it an aleph, it's a double negative. Doesn't make any sense. So you got to pick your poison. So next time we do it downstairs, we'll see what the cards say. Question 1, do they have the word law? I think you'll see it in parentheses maybe. Some people say it not. And question 2, ilmale, is it written with a yod at the end or an aleph at the end? This is just a little nugget from the ilmale, from this Tosafot. Sometimes you get random halachot from the random places. Okay. So we're talking about standing up when you read the Torah. So Megillat Esther, you can either stand up or you can sit down. Torah, you have to stand up. Because that's what Moshe Rabbeinu did with Hashem. The Amar Rabbi Abahu. Rabbi Abahu continues and he says, Minayin lerav shelo yashev al gabe mita v'yisheneh l'talmido al gabe karka. How do you know that the rabbi shouldn't sit with all the students standing up? You shouldn't do that as a rabbi. You be the only guy sitting. Why? Hashem said, stand with me. Hashem didn't sit, quote unquote, while Moshe was standing. So you got to be even with the students. Tanuna Banan, the rabbis taught. This is what you were saying. Mimot Moshe ve'ad Rabban Gamliel. From the days of Moshe Rabbeinu until Rabban Gamliel, lo hayu lamedin Torah ela me'omad. They only studied Torah standing up. Mishemet Rabban Gamliel, when he died, Yarad Holi La'olam, everyone got weaker, sickness, weaker. Ve'ayu lamedin Torah miyushav, and they learned sitting down. V'hainu de Tanana, this is what it means when it says, Mishemet Rabban Gamliel, Batel Kevod Torah, the honor of the Torah was absolved, annulled when he died, because everyone starts sitting down when they learn. One more piece. Ketuv echad omed, one pasuk says, Va'eshev bahar. Moshe says to the people, when I went up to the mountain to learn Torah, I was sitting on the mountain. Va'eshev bahar, I was sitting. Ketuv echad omed, va'anochi amati bahar. And then he says, I was standing on the mountain. Which one was it? Amar Rabbi, Amar Rav, omed velomed, yoshev veshoneh. He stood up while he was learning new material. And then when it was time to do a review, he sat down to review it, as she says. Yoshev v'shoneh shenit levado ma shelamad. He sat down when he reviewed on his own. But when the teacher, Hashem, was teaching him, he stood up. There's a different opinion. How to reconcile the two pesukim. Was he standing or sitting? Rabbi Hanina Amad, lo omed v'lo yoshev ela shoheh. He wasn't standing or sitting, he was bowing. He was like a 3/4 way the whole time on the mountain, 40 days. Moshe Rabbeinu was like this, bowing the whole time in honor of the Torah. Third answer. Rabbi Yochanan Omad, en yeshiva el lashon akeva. Doesn't mean he was sitting. Sitting means I was held back. I was delaying. I was hanging around. When someone says I was hanging around, doesn't mean they were hanging on a tree. I was hanging around means I was just staying there with you. Which says I was sitting on the mountain, doesn't mean he was sitting. He was really standing. Shnei Amad, how do you know? They sat in the town of Kadesh many days. They didn't actually only sit. They dwelled in the town. They stayed in the town, which is Lashon Akiva. Last answer. Rabba Amar Rachot Me'omad V'Kashot Mi'ushav. Rabba says the easy material he stood for. The hard material he sat down so you can have Yishuv Adat and focus. Now, what is the halakha l'maaseh? Let's see some Rambam. So Rambam says, we'll go one by one. Rambam says, let's see. A little trivia question you can ask people out there. Where is Rambam Halachot Megillah, the laws of Purim? The Rambam, he packages Hanukkah and Purim in the same chapters. And so it's Megillah and Hanukkah together, the two rabbinic holidays. So Megillah and Hanukkah, the first and second chapters are for Purim, but then the third chapter is Hanukkah. It doesn't have its own section. And so we were so busy for the past month doing the Hanukkah side, we're just going a little earlier now to the Megillah side. So what does Rambam write? Rambam says, Kara'a omed or Yoshev Yatsa. If you read Megillat Esther, whether you're standing or sitting, you're it's okay. Va'afilu b'tzibur, even in a shul for a congregation, if you sat down, it's okay. Now I said, if you read the Mishnah, it seems like Chetahila you could do it. The question is b'di'avad, is it okay? Is it b'di'avad or Chetahila? Again, this thing, I'm switching to the sideways next time. Okay, so he says as follows. Abba lo yikra b'tzibur yoshev l'katehila. You shouldn't read in the shul, preferably sitting down. Mipnei kebod hatzibur. It's not honorable. It's not respectful to everyone. Karu shanaim. If two people read it, like a duet, like we said, afilu asara ke'ehad. Even 10 people all read Megillat Esther as a choir for the shul. Yatzeu. It's kosher. Okay, that's one Rambam.
Wait. You know what time is not usually?
No. This is
Just in general.
this is the way the Mishnah started. It says Karu Shanaim Yatsa. If two people read at one time, me and you, we want to read a duet. Megillat Esther for the shul is kosher, but not for Sefer Torah. Only for Megillat Esther. We'll get into this in 1 second. Let's just do another. Let's Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says. Kore Adam et Megillah, ben Omed ben Yoshev. You can read the Megillah standing or sitting. Abba lo yikra b'tzibur Yoshev, but you should not read in the shul for a public sitting. The Chatehila preferably. They both agree. Mipnei kebod hatzibur. Okay, because it's not honorable. Mishnah Berurah says something interesting. Mishnah Berurah says, Miu, however, haberacha yibarech ba'amida. Mishnah Berurah said, Havetz Hayim v'Ashkenaz. You should always make the blessing standing up. Even if you're going to sit down afterwards, he says you should make the blessing standing up. And on the bottom, he says, Ve'ayeh b'mahazit shekel. Look at the Sefer Mahazit shekel. Ve'gam hashom'im ha'beracha. Even the people in the crowd, when they hear the beracha, kivan deyotz'in la'yedei shemi'ah, tzrichim gam ken la'amod. They also have to stand up. So he says, all the people have to stand up for the beracha. They may not sit down. Afterwards, they can sit down. What do we hold? Megillat Esther. What do we hold? Is this the halakha for us?
No, we stand.
No, we're seated.
No, we stand for the beracha.
In this shul, they stand for the beracha.
Yeah.
Yaakov Yosef says, "Hashliach sibur sarich lebarech v'lekrot hamegillah me'omad v'pnei kebod hasibur." He agrees with Rambam, obviously, and Maran. How can he argue on that? So how come he talk to Yosef? He says you have to stand up if it's for the shul. Yesh noagim shechol kahal hanimsa bebeit hakneset omed al raglav b'shat berachot v'megillah. Some have the custom that the crowd stands up for the blessing. Ve'ahar kach yoshevim v'kulim v'megillah, and then they sit down after. Ve'yesh noagim shakal yoshev ben b'shat hakidiyat v'megillah ben b'richotea. This is the Syrian way, yeah? We sit down. The people in the crowd sit down for the blessings also.
Only the Baal Kodesh stands up.
Right. Ve'yesh noagim shakal yoshev, okay? Every place do like your custom. Why? Because you just saw the Mishnah. The Mishnah says straight out you could do either one. And so it's kosher either way. If you're reading in the house for women, it's good to stand up for the blessing. But if you're reading for in the house, you do not have to stand up. And I do this every year. I read in the house, my wife, my mother-in-law, whoever it is, and I sit down. If there's 10 people, even 10 women, I'll stand up. But if there's only less than 10 people, even if it's men, I'm sitting down when I read. Okay, this is halakha ma'aseh for that part. If it's a minyan for kibot sibur, but if there's no minyan, there's no sibur. Okay.
So he's saying that you can sit during the Kiriyah, the Baal Kodesh sits during the Kiriyah.
If there's no sibur, well, our Mishnah says it, right? The Mishnah says it.
But like we said,
if there's no tzibur,
you're saying, or
no, if there's no tzibur, even the chatehila.
And if there is a sibur,
then the chatehila you should stand, but if you didn't, it's of kosher. Shul means it's tzibur.
Yeah.
If you only have 2 guys in the shul, it's just like a house. It means minyan. Kibot tzibur means there's a minyan there. There's a kahal. Yeah? Make sense? Okay, next. We talked about Mosifim. We said that on Monday, Thursday, Chol Moed, Rosh Chodesh, Mincha Shabbat, it's asur, forbidden to add a 4th aliyah, and it's asur to do navi because of Torah Sibur. People have to go to work. Huh? Yeah, okay, no more, not 5. No Mosifim. Sorry, no more. So let's see what the Rambam says about this. So Rambam writes, Gila 12:16. Rambam says, Kama hena kor'in. Now, does everybody here know who decided we read Torah on Shabbat, and who decided we read Torah on Monday, Thursday? You know this? Huh?
The Great Assembly.
Is that was which one? No, I was about to give you half credit, but no. And you said who?
The Great Assembly.
No.
Yeah.
No, Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who made us read on Shabbat. Because you can't go 3 days without water, you can't go 3 days without Torah. Yeah, so if the way we do it, well, actually, I'm wrong. That part applies to the Monday, Thursday. Moshe Rabbeinu said to read on Shabbat. It's now this is the Gemara says straight out. It's a massive mahloket in the Rishonim why he gets the credit. Why Moshe gets the credit. Some people say it's not Moshe, it's other prophets. We just call it Moshe. But the Pashut Pshat of the Gemara is Moshe Rabbeinu made the reading for Shabbat. Izah Sofed, he made the reading for Minhas Shabbat. Why? Because he wants people to come back to Shul. People should come back. And so that's Izah Sofed. Monday and Thursday, question. We'll see in a second. The Gemara is going to talk about in a second. I'm going to read you the Rambam here. Moshe Rabbeinu tiken lahem leYisrael shiyu korim b'Torah b'Rabim b'Shabbat u'b'Sheni u'b'Hamishi. He gives the credit to Moshe Rabbeinu, which the Gemara says. Ezah Sofed is Minhas Shabbat. Moshe Rabbeinu gets the credit for Monday, Thursday, and Shabbat, this custom of reading Torah. The Shaharit only in the morning. Like I said, so you shouldn't have 3 days without water, right? Monday, you have Tuesday off, and Wednesday off. That's 2 days without water. Water is Torah. Thursday, you're back. Friday off. Saturday, you're back. We never go 3 days without Torah in this religion. Ve'ezra sofer tiken sheikunim b'mincha b'chol Shabbat mishum yoshevek kiranot. Ezra sofer made a gezerah that on Friday and Shabbat afternoon you have to come back to shul to read because yoshevek kiranot. People are just fooling around. What are they doing all day on Shabbat? So get them back to shul. How do you get them back to shul? Not with tefillah, with Torah. Look at our minyan on Thursday and Monday. People come to shul when there's Torah. V'gam hu tiken. Who decided how many aliyot and how many pesukim you get? That's already, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't tell us this. Moshe Rabbeinu said, read the Torah. But the details of how many aliyot, you left to Ezra Sofer. V'gam hu tiken, Ezra is the one who said, that you read 3 aliyot, and 10 pesukim at least, which we'll get to next time. Okay, now, let's go to the topic at hand. Rambam, Kama hena korin. How many people read? How many aliyot? B'Shabbat b'Shaharit korin shiv'ah, 7. B'Yom Kippurim shtisha. He's going the opposite, right? He's going. The Mishnah went little to big. He's going big to little. Yom Kippur 6 aliyot. Yamim tovim hamisha. En pohatin mehen. You can never go less. Ve'en mosifin alehem. You can never go more. Which for what go more? Yeah, for what? It's a question. For what? Let's see. See, you can go more. You just can't go less. Can you go more for Yom Tov? Can you go more for Yom Kippur? That's the question. He says, Mosufin. B'Rashei Chodashim, on Rosh Chodesh, u'B'Chol Shemuel, Chol Moed, Kulin Aba'ah, you read 4. B'Shabbat, u'B'Yom Kippurim, B'Mincha, B'Sheni B'Chamishi, Shel Kol Shana, B'Chanukah, B'Purim, B'Shacharit, u'B'B'nei Ta'anit, on fast days, u'Mincha, Shelosha. En pohatim minyan ze ve'en mosifin alehen. If it's a day where you read 3 or 4 aliyot, you cannot go less or more. Okay. Shulchan Aruch. Now it starts to get a little bit interesting. Shulchan Aruch says, B'sheni u'b'hamishi u'b'shabbat u'mincha kulin shelosha. Like we know, Monday, Thursday, and Shabbat afternoon, 3 aliyot. El pohatim mehem ve'en mosifin alehem. You're not allowed to have mosifin. Ve'en maftinim b'navi. You cannot have navi. Says the Rama, Ashkenaz. V'im hayu sheneh hatanim bebet haKnesset. If there's 2 hatanim in the shul on a Monday or a Thursday, ve'hem Yisraelim, and they're both Israel. and they both want aliyah. Mutar leosif bekrot revi'i. You can add a fourth aliyah in order to accommodate both simahot. This is what the Ramah writes. Mamash against the Mishnah. Mishnah says emosifin. Ramah says if you have two hatanim, you can add a fourth. Why? Dilididhu heveki yom tov. Because for them it's like yom tov, and in yom tov you're allowed to do mosifin. The question is what about the rest of the people in the shul? It seems the same thing if you have two people having brit milah, you can add a fourth aliyah. Yom tov shelahem, it's yom tov for them. Wow. This is the Ramah. It says you're allowed to add a fourth aliyah on Monday and Thursday if you need to accommodate simachot. Wow. What do we hold? Yalkut Yosef. Yalkut Yosef 2. Right, Yossi, exactly. Yeah, get rid of the coin. You read 3. And mosifin alehem. You see, I always tell you this. Whenever you read the halakha, you see the phrases that they use. You have no idea. This is from the Gemara. It's exact phrase from the Gemara. You only appreciate it if you read the Gemara. Otherwise, you're clueless. You're not allowed to can't put navi over there. Why? Torah sibur. If you have two hatanim in the shul, or shene ba'alei berit, or shene hatane bar mitzvah, which we've had before, ushnehem Yisraelim, and they're both Yisrael, and they both want aliyah. En lehosif al minyan ha'olim l'sefer Torah. Kedei le'alot l'sefer Torah shnehem. You can't add another aliyah. Ahad kohen v'levi, you want to put 2 Yisraelim after kohen levi and have 4 total, not allowed. El ya'aleh ahad mehem bilbad, only send one of them up. You can ask the Kohen to leave, and therefore, in kan Kohen, if you have 10 people without the Kohen, then you can do it. Call one Yisrael the Kohen, and therefore you can send both up. Let's say the Kohen refuses to leave the shul.
You're stuck.
What do you do? Are you stuck?
You're stuck. Is the Kohen?
Lo mali with me. He says no, you're stuck with the Kohen. You say no. Who cares about the Kohen? Yossi? Kohen refuses to leave. I'm not leaving.
He refuses to leave.
He refuses to leave the shul.
You're stuck with him.
Roy, what do you say? Only the Kohen has to go up. Or there's exactly 10, and if he leaves, you lose the minyan. You should announce, even though there's a Kohen, listen to the shul, listen to the president. If he tells you to leave, or otherwise we're going to embarrass you in public. Even if there's a Kohen, sorry.
But that's even better.
It's better for him to leave, because if we send to Israel and he's there, people say, oh, he's not kosher Kohen? Why is he not going up? It's bad for his yichus, for his lineage. That's why we send them out. That's why we do it. That's why we announce it. Yeah, but still, it's more classy for his family that he should not be there. For him to be there, people don't hear Athapi. That's why we do the Athapi. He's being an idiot. He's chiyuv to hear the Torah. He's being a bad Jew. He's supposed to leave if we want him to leave. It's not a mamash chiyuv to hear the Torah. It's not a chiyuv. Torah is a chiyuv and a sibur. It's not. Torah, Sefer Torah. Hold on, no. When I read the Torah, you better be here. But hold on a second. There's certain mitzvot that are mitzvah on the goof of the person, and there's certain mitzvah that's a mitzvah on the tzibur. Sefer Torah is a mitzvah on the tzibur. It's not a mitzvah on you, and on you, and on you. If you're in your house, you don't have this chiyuv. I have to go hear Torah. Torah comes around when we're in a minyan and there is a shul, you have to read Torah. It's a mitzvah on the sibur.
What about that you still read it in your Shabbat?
You're talking about Shinai Mekav Hatagum.
Sorry? No, talking about substituting for Shmiyat Torah. You're a Torah.
There is no substitute.
You didn't make it to shul. You
No.
can't.
You could. I mean, it's great to read the Torah.
I know. But
During COVID,
halachically,
halachically, there is no mitzvah. There's no chiyuv.
You have travel, you're in Vegas, right? And you're not going to be. Do you have an obligation?
You need to have a chumash.
It's the obligation for you. The obligation is to go. The obligation is to pray. We have an obligation to pray Amidah with the minyan. That's much bigger obligation than hearing Torah with the minyan. Make sense?
No, but I'm talking about nothing.
If you happen to be home,
You couldn't make it.
that's the reason. That's the reason why there's no makeups for Torah. You say, "Oh, I missed the Torah this week. Let me hear it double next week." No. There was no mitzvah on you to hear it. It's on the tzibur. Now, there's a question: if the tzibur didn't have the Torah, do they have a makeup? That's a huge question. If it's, let's say we didn't have Torah one week, God forbid, I wasn't feeling well, no one else knew how to read it. We just didn't do it. A lot of people will hold we have to make it up the next week and read two because it's an obligation on the shul. That makes sense? The big, huge question was COVID. We missed like 7 weeks. And the big question, me and the rabbi were talking for a long time. I mean, I'm not putting myself in the same level as the rabbi. We were discussing it. Do we have to read 8 work? Some people said you have to read 8 weeks of Torah the first week back from COVID. But there's a, because it's a, right. We have a, Hacham Yitzhak talks about this, and he says if most of the tzibur went away vacation, let's say you have New Yorkers, they all go to Florida. He says if most of the tzibur went away vacation, he actually says that they should make it up, I believe, when they get back. But there was a heter that they came out with after COVID because of what? Yes. Torah tzibur.
But it doesn't make sense if there's no tzibur.
We have a Bet Knesset. I don't know. It's a loaded discussion, so I'm not going to pretend to know every single thing.
In this,
Yeah. No, they don't, as I know from my travels. It's very, very frequently Chabad does not have minyan.
in this halakha Kohen we're talking about,
There are lots of poskim who hold that you do not have to make it up. I'm just saying there are lots also that say you do. There was a heter.
Either one way or another. Either we have an obligation with the tzibur only,
I understand what you're saying.
or there's no minyan.
This is what they're talking about.
It was weird. I was in a Shabbat a couple of times with no minyan and Shabbat. There
Oh,
were
yeah.
5 people there. And it was like, okay. No
It's happened to me many times. Happened to me so many times. I mean, I travel all over the place. You end up with me. It happened to me and the Chabad rabbi at his table. 2 guys in the middle of nowhere.
You don't have a tefillah in tzibur anyway.
Right. So there's no tzibur. Ezra had something. Ezra, what'd you have?
He said, where does the back go at the coin?
What if what? If the leave it to Ezra.
Why not?
That's a good question. That's a logistical question. This is a question of logistics.
so in this
I don't know.
halakha that we're reading about the Kohen,
Yeah.
he's talking about one Kohen.
Yeah.
There's one Kohen, but if there's
Tell them all to go out.
more, all of them tell them all to go out.
If there are 3 Kohanim and we have 2 Bar Mitzvah boys, we tell the
Tell 3
Kohanim,
of
all of
them
them to leave. All the
And
Kohanim.
if one doesn't want to,
Then we
you
say,
have the
Abba
other two.
Pish, Yesh Kohanim.
Wow.
We have to.
So you send out all the Kohanim.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's a good logistical question. So he could say, Alpha Pish, Ani Kohen, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't say it. I'm hesitant to say this because I didn't read this from a real posek. No, what do you mean? We want to accommodate both people. People. There's 3, then good, because if you send the Kohen, you get 3 aliyot. By the way, Roy, this actually happens from time to time because I'm here with the boys. These families are very emotional when it comes. By the way, the less affiliated they are, the more emotional they are. because that's
So
all
one time
they,
it's so-
right.
one-
All they know is this is called being Jewish, sending my kid for bar mitzvah. They don't know anything else. A more frum person is like, whatever, we'll do it on Thursday. We'll do it on Monday. I'm serious. A lot of people who are not affiliated, like Israelis, I have a lot of students, Israelis that are nothing. They come from Israel and they just lose it all. All they care about, you have to hear the moms. The moms call me. This is my grandfather. I still remember when he went up for his thing. I still remember when my husband, they're obsessed with this aliyah. I had someone called me last week. She's a nice lady. I'm not saying anything bad because she watches the classes. She has a question. Baruch Shepetarani. I want to say it this day. I want to say it that day. I said, say it all the days. Baruch Shepetarani. Not Hashem's name. And anyway, Baruch Shepetarani is not in the gemara or anything. Baruch Shepetarani is the blessing we say in the bar mitzvah. Yeah? It's a nice custom. Ben Ish Chai, I told her, the Ben Ish Chai says you should say it during the meal, during the bar mitzvah meal. Baruch Shepetarani. They get very, very emotional about their simahot. That's one thing if you're in, trust me. Anyway, so we want to try to accommodate everyone. And so this is what he says you should do. Im yesh mekomot etzel bnei Ashkenaz shenadu kedivdei harama leha'alot. I have a word block. Let's say if it's Torah b'shlim b'hamishli ad ba'olim, k'sheshem hatanim. Let's say some shul wants to act like the Rama. Hey, the Rama says I can send up 4 people. And they're Ashkenazim. En la'asot ken ela b'hatanim mamash. Says the Chamitzak. Even you're Ashkenaz, just because we call him Hatan Bar Mitzvah, Hatan this, no. A Hatan is a groom, someone who gets married, says the Chamitzak. Even if you want to be like the Ashkenazim, it has to be a real Hatan. Why? Yom Tov lahemhu, because the wedding day is really like a Yom Tov for you. Abal en lehatriyach et hatzibur leha'alot l'sefer Torah shenei Hatanei Bar Mitzvah. Don't start bothering the people. 2 minutes is a bother. Like you said, we worry about everything in the Beit Knesset. How long is the Aliyah? 2 minutes, Torah Sivut. Don't bother everyone to send up 2 bar mitzvah boys. Says the Chamitzak, that's not called a Hatan. Okay. Don't do it. They don't do this these days, thank God. The Ashkenazim, they don't send 4 people anymore. There's a big question, I won't go through it now, about Brit Milah. Because Brit Milah, it could be a Yom Tov for you, but it's not a Yom Tov for the baby. And really, a lot of poskim say this. No, poskim say this, mamash. It's sad for the baby. And so it's not nice to the baby. The baby's going to be crying here and in pain, and you're going to be celebrating. So maybe we won't call Baalei Brit Yom Tov. It's a real shita, some people say. Good? Okay.
The baby is not the one who's going to the Torah.
True, but how could you say it's Yom Tov? You're celebrating your happy day at the expense of a poor baby who's crying here.
That's a tough one because he has a physical tzar, but ultimately it's the best day for him. He's getting into
Someone's in pain.
Getting into Mosifim on Shabbat.
Yeah, let's do it. Mosifim on Shabbat we know is allowed from the Mishnah. The question is Yom Tov.
The question is how many?
Wait, can we
That's it. Moti'im ma Shulchan Aruch. Moti'im Sefer Torah v'kurim bo shib'ah. V'im ratzah lehosif, mosif. Says Shulchan Aruch, we have 7 olim on Shabbat, and if you want to add. Rama Ashkenaz. V'hu adin b'yom tov. Maran Shulchan Aruch didn't say this. Rama says this. On Yom Tov also you can do mosifim. Mutar lehosif aminyan kiru'im. V'yesh omrim, says the Rama, some say, Yom Tov en hosif. That on Yom Tov it doesn't. Our Mishnah doesn't say Yom Tov you could add.
Who's the Yesh Omrim? What's them?
Who is the Yesh Omrim? The Ran. Rabbeinu Nachman. Rabbeinu Nisim. V'chen na'agu b'midot elu. In our countries we have a custom not to add mosifin on Yom Tov, he says. Milebad b'simchat Torah shemosifin habeh, besides for simchat Torah, which we do a lot of mosifin. Okay. And so the Rama says Yom Tov is not so clear. Mishnah says Shabbat, doesn't say Yom Tov. Mahloket. Let's go quickly. Yalkut Yosef. Yalkut Yosef says, Mutar leosif ala olim gam b'Yom Tov. Like the first shita of the Rama. You can add mosifin even Yom Tov. Shedafka b'mel hol or rosh chodesh hol moed v'ta'ani sibur en mosifin ala olim. Aber b'Yom Tov mutar leosif. Why? Because there's no Torah Sibur. There's no Torah Sibur. And this is the custom. So There is no limit prescribed in the halakha of how many so far, but we might continue next week. I've heard some people say you don't want to do more than the chobah. So I'm going to put this on pause, and we'll get back to this later because I want to wrap up with one more thing. I want to tell you something nice. I want to bring the siddur back out. So let's get back to it because some people say there should be a limit. Sherim, we had one time Yehaveh Da'at about this.
Wait, there's no such.
Where Chacham Vadia says Keshirim, it all counts. Rambam holds it all.
Only Kohen that married.
The Mosifim and Shabbat. Okay, so what Ezra is asking everyone, what Ezra is asking is, how many do we have to make sure we have 7 Shomoneh Shabbat going up to the Torah? We did a Yehaveh Da'at about this.
No, actually, there is a lechad that you don't. You don't get it.
Chacham Vadia says
Kohen that is married to.
and he can't only go for Kohen, but he can go for anything. Chacham Vadia has a teshuvah. We have a class on this on YouTube in Yehaveh Da'at where he quotes the Rambam and he says this whole thing you're allowed to send them up. You can send anybody out. They all count. They all count.
So where do you get it from?
Chacham Yitzhak Yosef, I have to be honest. Chacham Yitzhak Yosef, Ezra. Chacham Yitzhak Yosef and Chacham David Yosef are much more strict in their sefarim. And so maybe next time I'll bring those out and read those to you. But on the face, I'm going to tell you Chacham Vadia, he says it's all good. They're kosher. Even if they break.
Some do say that you need.
Someone who breaks mitzvot befarhesia, someone who breaks mitzvot on purpose in public.
Bar mitzvah. You brought up
Right.
3 of your.
So Chacham Vadia.
No, they're talking about more.
No.
They're talking more
So
about someone who walks into the.
It's called a posheya. Someone's a posheya. If someone's I'm saying this. Chacham Vadia in Yehaveh Da'at says it's okay. I want to be very clear. Chacham Vadia in Yehaveh Da'at says it's kosher. People can go up even if they don't keep mitzvot. And there's a lot of reasons. And one of the main reasons is also, why is the person here? The fact that the person's here shows that he respects the Torah a little bit. Otherwise, why is he in shul even? Number 2, how do you know he didn't do teshuvah 1 second ago? And so the Rambam says, he quotes the Rambam. Remember this Rambam? Rambam says, if someone does averot and doesn't do mitzvot, and now they have an opportunity to do a mitzvah, you're going to take us another one away from him. Why would you add one more to the ledger? However, Chacham David Yosef and Chacham Yitzhak Yosef are more strict in their books, and they talk about not sending people up or including them for minyan. But I don't want to do that now. So Bli Neder, we'll get back to that because I want to tell you one last thing before we finish. This is I love this one. I read this from the Hida, and I always thought it was very nice. What do we say when the Torah comes out in the beginning? On Shabbat we say what? Ata oreta ladat. And on Yom Tov we say what? Yehi Adonai Eloheinu imanu. Right? It's the same paragraph. We just took off how many pesukim? Right? Ata oreta ladat is 1. In kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai v'in k'ma'asecha Yehi Adonai Eloheinu imanu. We took away 2 pesukim. Why? Why do we take away 2 pesukim? Huh? But let's count the pesukim. But very good. The Hida, you're almost there. You're 90% there. The Hida says each pasuk is for aliyah. So we'll count the pesukim. Ata ha'oret el ha'da'at. In kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai v'in k'ma'asecha. Yehi Hashem Elokeinu imanu. Hoshiat amecha. That's 4. Vayhi binsoa ha'aron. That's 5. Kuma Hashem lemnuchatecha. That's 6. Kohanecha yid b'shosedek is 7. Ba'avur David Avdecha is 8. On Shabbat we have 7 olim plus a haftarah. Plus maftir, that's 8. Just like you said, close. 7-5, it's really 8-6. And on Yom Tov, we have 5 olim and maftir. That's 6. So we just take away the first 2 pesukim. Each pasuk is for an aliyah. This is the hidush of the Hida. Interesting, right? I always found that interesting. Okay, so halakha l'ma'aseh. We did mota halakha l'ma'aseh. I want to, next week, we're going to go into, turn the page, and we're going to talk about the details about the aliyot, how many pesukim for each aliyah, how many pesukim minimum for a Thursday and a Monday, and why we do what we do on Rosh Chodesh. It's a loaded topic. Rosh Chodesh, what do? We repeat the pasuk, right? Why do we do this? Are there any other options we can do? And lots of other laws about Torah reading that I don't think everyone knows. And also, one more, can you say the beracha with the Torah open, or does it have to be closed? Belina did next week. Hazak, we have minyan, yeah? Let's do Kaddish and also Arbit if we have a Rov minyan. Hazak Baruch, Rabbi Hanan Shalom, Zakas Baruch, Zachot, Et Yisrael, Leficha Tebar Noton Social Yamal. Al Mahafis, Leman, Sikul Yadir, Torah, Yadir. Anyone else Kaddish?